The proliferation of your lexicon through esoteric words is a most salient endeavor. In this video, I'm going to explain to you guys how to sound like the smartest guy in the room, even if you're not. I'm going to run through 3 things to do to sound like the smartest guy in the room, and 3 things not to do to avoid sounding like a pretentious tryhard when you're trying to sound like the smartest guy in the room. Okay? So here we go. Number 1 is to focus on one word at a time. Don't try to expand your vocabulary with a bunch of new words you're trying to learn all at once, or you'll get them all mixed up. Just focus on one word at a time. It's a slow process, but it'll get you there. You want to focus on words that are big and smart sounding, like nascent, proliferation, propensity, proclivity, something like that. And one thing that you really need to do, this in order to not sound like an idiot, is you need to actually understand what the word means. You need to look it up, you need to have a definition, and if someone asks you and they're like, hey, what does this new cool word that you're saying mean? Then you can actually give them a short and concise definition. And you also want to understand the forms of the word so that you're not always restructuring your sentences just to fit in that one form of the word that you know. Like if you don't know the word like nascency and you just always try to fit nascent in there, you're gonna sound like you're trying too hard. The second thing you should do is you should write them down, whether that be like in a physical notebook like I do, or you can do what I used to do. I used to keep a note in my phone, and up at the top it would say words I like, and it would have the word, and then it would have a short, concise definition off to the right side. And the third thing you should do is that you should look up words that you don't know. Like if you hear your friend, or like maybe your like professor, or just somebody that's not even your friend, just like a random passerby, use a big word and you like the way it sounds, you should look it up. Everyone has like a phone, you get instant access to Google. Be like, hey, what does this word mean? And you look it up, and then you're like, oh, sweet, that's cool. Then you can add it to your little list on your phone or your notebook if you keep it with you. And now we're going to look at 3 things not to do, 3 things to avoid doing for sure. This will actually take you from trying to sound like the smartest guy in the room to make you sound like the most pretentious guy in the room. Number 1 is trying to squeeze words in where they don't belong. I think we've all been in this situation where somebody's trying to like flex their vocabulary and being like, hey, this is a cool word that I know. I had this recently with a speech that we were given in class, and one of the kids was trying to fit the word juxtaposition in where it didn't really belong. I think he put it in there in the speech 4 times, and like it didn't really make sense any of the times that he used it. It just was a bad experience for everybody in the room. Also, putting words where they don't belong makes you sound really pompous and really full of yourself and like you're trying to show off. And that's not the idea. You want this to seem more effortless, and you want it to actually be more effortless. You're trying to actually expand your vocabulary and not just doing this for the way it makes you sound. The second thing that you should definitely not do is you should definitely not look around and try to make sure that everybody noticed that you used a big word.
A bombastic singularity of ineffable fecundity. Did they notice? Did they notice?
Not only is this one a little bit pathetic, it kind of just makes you look like a creep. And the third thing you don't want to do is pause right after you use your big word, or right before you use your big word. It makes it seem like you're just using all your mental capacity just to try to remember that word and say it correctly.
It makes you look like a tryhard, and it actually has the opposite effect of what you're probably intending.
Glib, opulent, sanguine, inextricable, bloviate, candor, pernicious, myopic, pensive, pejorative, pedantic, proclivity, propensity, obstinate, stringent, zenith, tumultuous, gauche, lacerate, eviscerate. Go ahead and leave other words that you like down in the comments section below.